Heyo everyone, welcome to here. As always, I'm your janky host, Blaze Creek, leader of the Hapus and Abyssals. Now, this time I'm here to talk to y'all about the title of the video, or I guess it's down there. So, and also give a basic rundown of our favorite VR social platform, Massive Loop. Now, while saying that, we've technically covered the platform in a general sense quite a bit. I've made videos on most basic or introductory subjects, along with, multiple advanced aspects or processes too. But seeing how big of a deal Massive Loop getting onto the Microsoft Store is, I thought making an introductory style video to the platform with that demographic in mind, made a lot of sense. So here we are. Before I explain what our subjects are going to be, what is Massive Loop? Now, Massive Loop is a VR social platform where practically anyone from anywhere can meet or hang out, whether you just have a computer or a VR headset to go along with it. As long as you're over 16, you can hop in and experience countless breathtaking or interesting places. I mean, just look behind me. This place is fucking crazy. But you like playing games or exploring awesome and unique worlds or servers? Well, sorry, I'll stop. Massive Loop is home to a wide variety of, unique users and potential casual gaming, semi-realistic, or real-world applications. Just imagine if a company like Amazon or Microsoft had a server dedicated to something like training new employees. It's practically limitless in use cases. And I was actually recently talking to a family member, right, who owns a landscaping company. And we spent a few hours discussing how Massive Loop and VR-based training in general could save them a lot of time and money. But that's besides the point. That's speculation and future stuff. Whether you're a player or a creator, maybe even a company or a community, Massive Loop's players have an insane amount of avatars, worlds, that they can choose to express themselves or experience by themselves or with friends. Creators have an entire economy. Massive Loop's creator network allows avatars, worlds, scripts, objects to be sold by creators for an insanely higher percentage of the cut back to the seller than any other platform that I know about. Which is to say incredible for creators, servers, or sellers is an understatement. But you can also tip people or set up recurring subscriptions like a Patreon for servers or users. Say you want to host a VR live event or activity. You could sell tickets to your music show or a comedy club or a convention. What if there were VR sporting events? You could, imagine buying a ticket to like a virtual reality football or basketball game. Anyway, servers are great for people or groups, companies that want to craft or create experiences. Like, I have one for my communities. But there are quite a few that are accessible right now that serve drastically different purposes or intentions. There are currently official, as in the server that we're on right now, Massive Loop's main one. There are community servers, like mine. There's college-related ones, like for OSU. And there's some organizational ones and some user-made servers. There's really a bit of everything for everyone on Massive Loop, but there really is an insane amount of stuff that you can do. So let's move on to all of the subjects that we're going to cover. There's a lot. Now, there's only a handful this time, and at least comparatively to some of our other videos. Since there's quite a bit of information to throw at y'all, it boils down to more or less 5 segments discussing or showcasing different aspects of Massive Loop that I think are relevant to people who aren't familiar with Massive Loop or VR and social VR platforms in general. Since the concept is still, fairly new when you compare it to something like Facebook or Twitter. But yeah, let's pull it up. So steps 1, 2, and 3, that's all one thing. I don't know why I was floating. I think I rammed into my base station while recording an earlier segment. That's probably why. Anyway, So steps 1, 2, and 3 are actually the first step. That's just what I was calling it. They're the steps to accessing Massive Loop, otherwise known as our first segment. This will briefly glance over and explain account creation, the launcher, and yeah. Now, importantly, I've covered all of this before, so I'll be interjecting via desktop to explain everything pretty quickly. We're not going to launch the game. You get the idea. You see a menu when you start it, and then you get into the game, and it's cool. But yeah, so that's the first segment. It's only a couple of minutes. Then we're going to talk about VR, full body, and desktop mode, the 3 main modes for Massive Loop. Servers, worlds, and avatars give you a basic rundown. Paid user-generated content, MLCNs, and ML's economy. Now, originally we were going to talk about that in depth, but I've decided we're going to leave that out for this video because it's a little hard to explain in a timely manner. So hopefully the introduction was enough to give you an idea of, hey, this exists. Creators can sell their stuff here. It's really cool. But we'll talk about official and communal events. And I think we've had enough of this background for now. So let's jump into the first segment and get this started, shall we?
Heyo, welcome to my desktop. So I promise we're not going to be here for very long. I just need to show you the 3 basic steps of, making an account and logging in everything. So assuming you downloaded Massive Loop off of the Microsoft Store, or you can also download it off of the website following this method, but we're going to go through everything really quick. We're not going to go step by step. So any browser, just type in Massive Loop, and then you see Massive Loop Metaverse. We'll click on it. That's what the website looks like. And then at the top, you have this yellow sign in. Click it. Now, if you're registering a new account, like say you're just got it off the Microsoft Store, press this button down here. Fill in all of this information. It'll, send you a confirmation email. And then after that, you'll have an account. So you can log into the website if you want to make things a little more fleshed out for your account or look around. And assuming you downloaded it off of the Microsoft Store or even the website up here, you'll have the launcher. Now I'm already logged in, but it'll prompt you with the login. After you're logged in, all you have to do is either launch in desktop mode, or if you have a VR headset on, you can launch in VR. And that's pretty much it.
Professor Blazecreek here. So you can use Massive Loop in 3 different ways. You can play with a VR headset connected to a computer, and that VR headset can also have voice and leg tracking on top of head and hand tracking for full body tracking. Now, you can also just use your computer if you don't have a VR headset, which I think is awesome. Now, if you're in desktop mode, you can also move your hands, or rather arms, around if you press Alt and move your mouse. Now, Alt plus Q or E changes which hand you're using, which means you could head pat or slap people. Now, like I said, for virtual reality, it has to be connected to a computer. You can't use a standalone Quest as of the making of this video, but that could, of course, change in the future. Pretty much every wired headset should work without question, from the Valve Index to an actual wired Quest. Same for full body trackers. We've tested at least mainstream trackers like Vive, and we're in the process of testing Slime trackers and another brand that's really popular in Japan, I think, and Korea too. But I'd assume if it's mainstream, it'll work on this platform, which has been an accurate assumption for most things related to Massive Loop for me, to be entirely fair. But personally, right now, you'll mainly see me in desktop mode, since most of the time I'm working on my communities or Massive Loop related projects. But if I'm attending or hosting events, partying, hanging out, I'll generally be in full body. Now, that way I can be the most accurate to my real life expressions and reactions. Because, I'm a very animated person. You see me in this video and see how I'm moving. All of that's being translated in real life too. I can show you. Now, it might be a little glitchy because I accidentally rammed into that base station that you can't see, but tracking should be good outside of the accidental ramming into it. But look. Yeah, sway my hips. But everything that I'm doing in real life is being translated. Now, granted, I don't have face tracking set up, and I don't think we can do that yet, but you get the point. Since I'm a very animated person, IRL, and that translates to VR pretty hard, in my opinion anyway. Like, I bet during this entire video, I'm moving around a lot. There it is. There's the base station fucking it up. But anyway, or, dancing in place. I love being able to express myself fully through real life body movements that translate to my avatar in Massive Loop. It makes socializing and being in the moment, so much more realistic, even impactful at times. Especially since I'm wearing my own personal avatar that, I've used for years at this point. Whenever my Nanablaze moves in game, that's me moving in real life, not in animation. It's a digital representation of myself that translates my real life movements into the virtual realm, which is kind of fucking mind blowing. Now, if you told me this shit was a thing when I was a kid, my mind would be shattered beyond repair. But whether you're on desktop mode, VR, whatever it is, those are the three ways that you can experience the platform. And personally, it doesn't matter if you're just hanging out on desktop or you can fully animate yourself in VR. There's a lot of really cool things to experience and a lot of amazing people who play it. So definitely check it out if you haven't. So official and community events. Let's talk about that. But first, let me start this off by saying I promise I'm not a shadow person in real life. I'm not an eldritch horror that's just pretending to be a human, hiding amongst you guys, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. I have no idea why it's only this avatar, but it's only this one. I tested 10 others. I'm just a shadow person. We went to this place in real life and I wanted to do this huge bit, but then I turned the camera on and I'm barely visible. I'm leaving this bit in because I thought it was hilarious. This place is awesome. We went here in real life when we visited Massive Loop. It's awesome. I'm not going to say what it is, though. You're going to have to figure it out. So every week there are 2 official events hosted by Massive Loop. That's Trivia Tuesday and Happy Hour Friday. The start times vary, so you'd have to check their Discord, but we've been hosting some during the day, some at night. That way we can get a better feel for when we should be, hosting them. Now, Trivia Tuesday isn't exactly, or rather is exactly as it sounds. We either play trivia or Jackbox games. Usually trivia, but it's fun to switch things up sometimes, if enough of us are actually feeling it. But those are hosted in-game and on the Discord. So Happy Hour Friday is very similar to kind of like a casual hangout, but I always use Hoppy World Hop as a comparison, even though I doubt most people know what that is. It's like a casual hangout and world exploration, or showcase in a way. We all hang out, play games, check out new worlds, and talk to the developers. Now, they're a lot of fun, especially when a majority of the staff team is online. We have a blast. Outside of official platform events like Happy Hour or Trivia Tuesday, my community, Abyssal Order, has been testing some different kinds of events. Right now it's mainly bug testing and World Hop related events. So our official schedule still is work in progress. We're not, openly doing too much, but it's just mainly testing things, seeing what works, what interests people, and how we can help out the platform. So near the end of May, we should be hosting 3 weekly regular events. One of my biggest priorities is weekly roleplay events, starting off with more generic, casual stuff, kind of like a cafe experience. But we haven't had so much going on, because I haven't been able to settle on a schedule yet. There's been a lot of other things going on. So that's a thing. But right now you can expect 2 weekly events from Massive Loop and at least 1 every week up until next month from Abyssal Order. Now afterwards we should be regularly hosting more and more varied events. But these kinds of social activities, overall, whether it's happy hour, trivia, or something that we host as a community, they've been a lot of fun, man. I've been regularly hosting or attending both communal and official events for practically forever at this point, and I don't think we've ever, not enjoyed ourselves. Sure, it can get a little wild or janky at times, but it's very inviting, friendly, and overall just a positive environment, which I adore. I totally hit up an official or communal event if you get the chance. They're all really fun, and it's a great way to make new friends, interact with the developers, or meet Massive Loop's community. Oh, hey, you can see from my perspective now. Hi. So I'm not even sure where to begin in regard to functionalities, since there's so much stuff you can do at just a glance. But let's talk about what the menu does, everything in it, how it all works. Now, when I say functionalities, I just mean like what you can do from the menu. I'm not talking about avatars or anything like that. So first we've got servers, worlds, and avatars, which we're going to talk about in the next segment. Then we have contacts, events, alerts, apps, wallet, and settings. So servers are for servers. Now we're going to explain this in the next segment since it requires more detail. Same for worlds, and along with avatars as well. So we'll go into those in the next portion. Contacts is pretty straightforward. It's your friends list. Now, right now, I think the only person on my friends list that's online is Chi, but yeah, you can see all of the recents. You're blocked. I don't have anyone blocked. Party, friends, all that cool stuff. So let's pop out of there and then go to events. Events lets you see basically all of the stuff that's scheduled on whatever server you're on. Now, since we're on Massive Loop's main server in the main hub, you can see everything that we're doing this week or previously, which is really cool. But you can see current server, global, favorites, etc., which is really cool. You could search all that stuff. Alerts is pretty simple. If you get a friend request or you get an invitation, stuff like that, it'll pop up in alerts. Now, apps. Apps has your chat, camera, browser, mirror, full body, user compass, director mode, voice effects, OSC, user audio controls. Now, starting with chat, this allows you to talk to everybody in game, like everyone in your world, or everyone in your party, or to a specific user. And you can also type. You get a little menu that pops up, which is really useful. Now, camera is a camera. Hopefully this doesn't break director mode, but it's a camera. It lets you take pictures. Let's turn it around. You can see me. Hi, I don't have a shirt on because I crashed before filming this, and I have clothing set to default. But I'm a furry creature with no anatomy, so this is fine. But yeah, so that's the camera. Let's pull it back up again. Take that out. Here's the browser, where you can do whatever you really want when it comes to a browser. Now, I don't have anything in here. I don't know what I'd even look up. I guess YouTube. No, I double clicked. Oh, I did that wrong. But anyway, browser's the browser. You can search for stuff and access stuff there. Mirror. Hi, world. Hello. Let's put some clothes on. I feel a little indecent right now. Where's my menu? Let's pull it open. Edgy pants, top. And a suit for good measure. Whoops. There we go. Anyway. So there's that. Let's get the mirror out of here. That way we can keep on chugging. And get me out of the floor, because that's kind of uncomfy. So full body tracking pulls up the mirror again, but now we have all this stuff. If you have full body, you can calibrate and use it. Now the reason the camera's shaking is because it's connected to my head right now. I can turn that off by locking rotation. That's the wrong rotation. Turn that off. Good. But yeah. Let's turn you off. Turn you off. We don't need to go through the process. User Compass basically lets you request to teleport to any user in the world, and it shows you where they are, which is awesome. I love this little thing. Director mode is what we're using currently to film. I'm not going to turn this on. I'm turning it on because I accidentally turned it on. We're using the camera to do it now. But yeah, so this is where you can set up different cameras. You can change your settings in here. Infinite cameras. You can change some other behavioral settings. Now, when you click these things open, there's a remote which lets you control a fucking shitload of stuff. Let's see if I can open it. You can change all of that. You can control all of that. It's insane. Next up is Voice FX. Now, it's a little hard to see, but you can change basically filters and modulate your voice, which is really cool in my opinion. I didn't mean to only partial close it, but you can modify your voice, change it however you want. Now, this is OSC MIDI. I don't use MIDI anything, but you can connect like DJ equipment and all that kind of stuff and play it to have effect in game, which is just fucking cool. And then user audio controls lets you change everybody's volume for yourself. So if someone's too loud, you can mute them or create a private chat or change the controls. But yeah. And then wallet is your in-game wallet. So if you're a creator or a seller, you have yourself a wallet that has credits that you can spend on the platform or withdraw for actual money. And then your settings. This is important. Player height is a bitch. I'm fucking 6'5", but for some reason that's what works for my model. Or that's default, I'm not sure actually. But you can change a bunch of different stuff in here, from player rotation, locomotion. You have permissions that you can change. Graphics settings that you can update. You've got audio that you can change. And some controller stuff. That's pretty much everything in regard to like menu explanation. Now there's also this guy which comes up. This is for avatars. If your avatar has an emote wheel or toggles, then you can do cool stuff like change clothes, but we'll talk about that in the next clip. Anyway, let's keep going.
Let's talk servers, worlds, and avatars. You might have noticed I'm on desktop mode and we're not in VR anymore. Originally, it was supposed to be all in VR, but things get a little funky, and I think this is the best way that I can actually show you guys, what I need to get across, both servers, worlds, and avatars. So let's get right into servers. So all of these are servers. Now, servers are the baseline in which worlds and avatars are stored and hosted. Every server has unique worlds, avatars, and purpose. Some of them are communities, like this one. Some are specific experiences or role plays, like this one. There's even a server dedicated to recreating Oklahoma City on Massive Loop, which is fucking cool, man. I actually went to some of those places in real life recently, and I thought that just made the server even cooler, since, I've actually been to those places in real life. That's just cool. It's neat. There are servers hosted by colleges, or organizations, but anyone can buy a server, whether you're a power user, a group, or a community. Even a company or a college, having a server allows you quite a bit of control and freedom to tailor it to your vision for your project or projects. They're frankly a perfect environment for, roleplay organizations or groups in general. The concept alone is incredible, but being able to control who is able to upload worlds, avatars, how many of each. Like, I'll give you an example. Configure server. Details. You can change a bunch of stuff. You can change server groups. You can change, where's creator settings? Here we go. But yeah, it's really cool. The concept alone is incredible. But being able to choose how many of each, if they can or can't upload packages to be sold on your server. You can schedule events, all that kind of stuff, and it's just so cool. but you can talk to server members through a server-wide chat. The sheer amount of control and options you have when it comes to the servers is just insane. You can sell packages, you can have your own avatars, your own worlds. It's awesome. It's incredible, really. So servers are just the parent or CEO or admin, if you will, in this situation. It's super important, but without worlds, you don't really have much of a server. Worlds can, of course, be anything from a game experience to a peaceful, path through a forest. You could be exploring a city, then jump through a portal, and now you're on a space station. There are worlds for more or less anything. The most common right now are mainly chill, hangout, and game worlds, but there are experiences and places for most activities or things you could think of. Like, I've got a dope winter hangout up on the main ML server sitting next to 2 dope game worlds. Like, dude, that's awesome. But a great example of the variety of worlds is the background of, well, I mean, the video that you're watching. You'll notice it change every time we change topics, and each one is unique. Avatars are what we, obviously use to interact with people. So we'll talk about that next. Take me to the avatars. Here we go. So avatars are how we interact with each other or represent ourselves. Like this guy. This is me. But you can be whoever you want, or whatever you want. There are an insane amount of options to choose from, and if you already know how to make your own, the possibilities and options become quite literally endless. So an avatar is our person on Massive Loop. It could be this guy, or any number of other avatars that are uploaded for public use, or if you have a private one, for private use. There are so many avatars. Whether you want to be a human, anime character, furry, some video game character, if you can imagine it, it's probably an avatar on Massive Loop, or there's something like it. But there's just so many ways to present and represent yourself through an avatar, especially if you have VR or avatar-based toggles. Now, newer and custom avatars will generally have toggles, so like on some avatars, you can change their clothing or color scheme. We'll use this one as an example. No glasses. Glasses. Cigar. Oh God, I've fallen. I didn't realize that was a thing. I need up. Let me up. So now that we're back on track and my cigarette is still lit, my cigar is still lit, you can do a bunch of different stuff. Like, since this is a furry avatar, I don't mind taking the clothes off. But you can do a bunch of cool stuff. You want different outfits, you can do that. But yeah, there are so many ways that you can present and represent yourself, especially since newer and custom avatars are generally going to have toggles. So, as I said, some avatars being able to change colors or clothing scheme. Since my avatar is the perfect example and we showed that off, I have so much random stuff I can pull out, like I mentioned in the previous segment. When I said you can add or do more or less whatever, I meant it. And I mean it. When it comes to avatars, there are so many public avatars with cool things going on, and even more private or work in progress models with even cooler things like custom animations that you'd see in like Fortnite or some magical spellcaster game. Whatever the creator, the avatar creator, is capable of doing with their skill set is usually the limit for, what's possible in terms of avatar and avatar creation.
Hi. Thanks everybody for making it to the end of the video. Now, as some of you might remember from our last video, which I've got playing in the background, isn't that cool? It's fucking cool, man. I'm never not gonna think that's cool. Anyway, I went on an adventure to see everyone from Massive Loop, which was awesome. It was incredible. I'd love to go into detail, obviously, but it'd take up most of the runtime, and I like to keep things semi-anonymous, but huge thanks to them. It was great, seeing everyone again, and we really did enjoy ourselves. We spent most of it with Brandon, Callie, and Lang. But we hung out at the office a little bit. We got to see everyone there. Got to see everybody from the robotics side of Massive Loop 2. Got to party a little bit. Got to have some fun. But again, huge thanks to them, man. It was great getting to do all that stuff, getting to see everything, see everyone. But we ended up going to see family too afterwards, and I got sick there. So I was sick a day or two after we got home. Still kind of sick, but we've had a lot going on. Faye got a job interview in which she was hired on the spot, which, I mean, that's pretty dope. But our roommate broke the lease early, and he's going to move out next month. So she had to get a job, even though we've been trying to focus on her health and get all of it sorted out. But I think that's really cool, and I'm really proud of her, really happy that she was able to find a job so easily and quickly. But yeah, all that said though, since I got back from my trip, I've mainly been working on this video, sorting out the apartment situation, figuring out our new financial situation, working on our communities, and, you know, obviously I'd love to go into specifics about certain things, especially communities, but it's mostly logistical and staff or media team related, so I can't really share most of it anyway, but I've been working my sickly ass off. And things are chugging along, so I can't really complain. Things, as long as we're making progress and I'm not dead, I'm happy about it. But originally this was supposed to be a very different video, but since Massive Loop got approved and put onto the Microsoft Store, I felt like changing it up. So I made the plan kind of make sense, if you will, and I hope all of you enjoyed this. I know it's heavily reliant on explaining and talking to the camera, which isn't everyone's favorite style, but it's really made the most sense. So, you know, especially given the current situation. But it's kind of weird to think about, but I'm gonna have my own office at the end of May, which means I'm gonna have my own play space, my own private space, with plenty of room for VR, so my workflow is not gonna be constantly interrupted. I'll be able to get more shit done per capita. Like, my current play space is a 3x3 space in front of our bed, so my tracking and VR setup right now sucks. You'll notice in a lot of videos that my tracking just randomly breaks. They're all facing me perfect, but it's just because there's so little space and they're not set up perfect. If they were all at each corner of the room, I would have amazing tracking right now. But anyway. So, same for my professional voice acting setup, I can also set that up again. So it'll be a huge improvement, and, you know, having a quiet/large space to myself will be a game changer, both for video production, quality, and actual production time, along with community-related updates or changes. I'll be able to host events more frequently, I'll be able to interact a lot more, because a big thing with me, I'm autistic and I have bipolar disorder. I need my own space. If my workflow gets interrupted, I'm fucked. And I struggle. So I'm pretty excited for that. Now, anyways, I think I've mumbled on enough for now. I really appreciate everyone, and I'll see y'all either at an event on Massive Loop or on the 16th for the next video. But if I don't see you at either of those places, for anybody who knows me, you know where to find me. And if you're a Hapu, you know the same. But thanks everybody again, and check out Massive Loop if you're watching this because you see it's on the Microsoft Store. This game, this platform, the possibilities and what you can actually do is incredible. This place is amazing, and I definitely say check it out and maybe you'll find me. Anyway, bye-bye.